dominated the world have used money to rule it and have ruled it in their own interest. It looks at a world economic system that has no regard for the poor, that has no regard for the small nations, that has no regard for the poor of the small nations. And the policy is a dignified policy, is not a violent policy, is not a policy of guns. It's a very honorable policy, but it is a very clear policy. It is a policy that calls the poor of the world to stand together, to stand firm together, to struggle together, to struggle for change, to struggle for justice, to struggle through organization, to struggle through will, to struggle through determination, to struggle to build a new kind of world in which your children and mine will walk with more dignity, with better housing, with better opportunity, with better prices, with better response from the world monetary system. That is the world to which I call you. That is the world for which I struggle, and no power will turn me back from that world. And comrades, if you go and walk with me, if you go and step with me, if you go and move with me, we're moving as warriors. We're moving in determination. We're moving to struggle. We're moving to change that world. No power will turn us back.
Me ever fresh, me no green.
Me coulda never green, dog. Me no chow chow. No. Ha 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 ho ho. Who ya know?
But if change is what we really want to see, ladies and gentlemen, then we must rise up. We must unite. We must advocate. We cannot remain silent. Where are the young men, the young women, the men, the women, the boys, the girls who will put aside political divide and do what is best for Jamaica? Eternal Father, bless our land. Guide us with thy mighty hand. Keep us free from evil powers. Be our light through countless hours. Even our pledge, our national pledge, says before God and all mankind, we cannot see a better Jamaica unless we return to the foot of the cross. Jamaica under God must increase in beauty, fellowship and prosperity, and play our part.
If I lived in China or even Russia or any totalitarian country, maybe I could understand some of these illegal injunctions. Maybe I could understand the denial of certain basic First Amendment privileges because they haven't committed themselves to that over there. But somewhere I read of the freedom of assembly. Somewhere I read of the freedom of speech. Somewhere I read of the freedom of press. Somewhere I read that the greatness of America is the right to protest far right. And so just as I say we aren't going to let any dogs or water hoses turn us around, we aren't going to let any injunction turn us around. Well, I don't know what will happen now. We've got some difficult days ahead. But it really doesn't matter with me now because I've been to the mountaintop. I don't mind. Like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place. But I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will. And He's allowed me to go up to the mountain. And I've looked over and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land. So I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
I said I'm happy every day as I travel through this land. I've been mighty blessed by God, and I'm holding to His hand. Yes, mommy, I see you. Yes, the journey is almost over. Shut up. And the battle is nearly won. And I have a feeling. I have a feeling in my heart. The best is yet to come. Slide of it. Over there, sir. Una ready to get up, no man. I feel mad in this place. Let's go. I am happy every day as I travel through this land. I've been mighty blessed by God, and I'm holding to His. Over there, sir. I said the journey's almost over. I know the battle is nearly won, and I have a feeling in my heart, the best is yet. Come on, sir. I said the best is yet to come. When I walk through heaven's gates, yeah, I said the first time I'll see Jesus, I can hardly wait. And He showed me to a man, son, and said, child, this is your home. And I have a feeling in my heart. You know this one? Listen, shut.
Oh, you do.
I want to hear the angels singing. I want to be in that number. I want to hear that trumpet song. We have done now. I want to hear archangel voice. I want to hear archangel. Oh, I want to hear when my name is called. I want to hear. Everybody know I want to hear. I want to hear. I want to hear. I want to hear. Watch out now. I want to see the angel marching. I want to be in that number. I want to hear. I want to hear that trumpet song. I want to hear archangel voice. I want to hear. God bless her now. I want to hear when my name is called. I want to hear. Everybody this song. If I'm not living for Christ, then I cannot be. Get something and wave it. Get something and wave it. Get something out. If I'm not living for Christ, then I cannot be happy. Walk out, Christian. I only live my life to please. Send me rocking for the road and the star on my phone. I only live my life to please. Live up my life. Come on, man, we have done, man. Everybody, so. Live up my life. Lift it, Jesus. Mrs. Silent Night, what a holy night. But Virgin Mother and Child, holy, so tender. Talk to me now. But sweetly, God bless you, God bless you. Let me tell some people, I know one prayer we pray. We pray.
Blood and fire, comrades who are in jungle tonight. On a know that the word is love. Comrades, me come with a speech, but it's a different speech me have to give tonight. But before I go into that, we have been saying all night that young people know say time come. And I want to bring up a young man who has looked for himself, him read for himself, him search for himself, and when him done, him realize that the only choice he could choose is the People's National Party. And I want to welcome Comrade Harry.
Hold on. We don't have much time. When I say time, you say come. Time. Senator Murray, somebody asked me, Perry, why aren't you a Labourite? Me ever fresh, me no green.
Me coulda never green, dog. Me no chow-chow. No. Ha, ho, ho. Who ya know? Underpants, Paolo. We the gal in the
Hold on, cut in, man. Hold on.
Me coulda never green.
Hold on, no DJ, man. Hold on. I don't have much time. The next Prime Minister, let me shake your hands. So big up yourself, Mark Golding, Jensek, and brother, Dayton Campbell, doctor. Listen, in 1938, the People's National Party was formed out of the vision to help the poor people. It was born out of restlessness of the people seeking for better. And I believe that the People's National Party continues to be the answer for the people. Can I hear an amen? Hold on. In 1995, under the auspices of P.J. Patterson, the most honorable, there was a revitalization and an extension of the new National Youth Service Program, which gave young people the opportunity to earn Commander Man Church. It gave people the opportunity to better themselves. I don't have much time, but hear what? I hear the other people them say, you must choose Jamaica, but you can't choose Jamaica without choosing the people. God bless you.
Me coulda never green, dog. Me no chow-chow. No. Ha, ho. Me coulda never green, dog. Me no chow-chow.
You have your club, comrades.
Comrades, I want to let you know that young man is the former guild president at the University of the West Indies. That is the kind of young people that we attract in the People's National Party.
A corrupt government cannot liberate the people. If the head of the stream is corrupt, the entire river will be also. I do not support corruption. Corruption takes money away from children's education. It deprives hospitals of basic necessities. It means that roads are not fixed. Corruption deepens inequality.
It siphons off taxpayers' money to make a few cronies richer with the political connections instead of benefiting the people. This government has been doing everything it can to weaken and undermine the Integrity Commission, which is an institution that I designed as Minister of Justice and brought the legislation to Parliament to fight corruption in this country. I have said it before and I will tell you again. Jamaica cannot move forward without a government built on integrity that embraces principles of good governance in this country.
Lightning and thunder for the JLP. Oh. Corruption in the nation. What a sticky situation. Always see a degradation. Innocent men at the station. Andrew and his cronies getting richer, them a big done. Talking about them helping out the poor. Tell me which one. Juliet, a speaker of the house, me can't believe it. Them mashing the housing trust, but people are go feel it. The JLP, them satanic and demonic. Now walk it, the use them prosper, only fit them pocket. I beg is hamping. Corruption in the nation. What a sticky situation. Always see a degradation. Innocent men at the station. Andrew and his cronies getting richer, them a big done. Talking about them helping out the poor. Tell me which one. Juliet, a speaker of the house, me can't believe it. Them machine the housing trust, but people are go feel it. The JLP, them satanic and demonic. Now walk it, the use them prosper, only fit them pocket. I beg you stop it.
Perspective with Perry Cummings Jr. Big up yourself. The best is yet to come. This is my perspective. Telling you my perspective. This is my perspective to bring change that I feel me objective. Scandal after scandal. Look where Jamaica come to. Them a rob the money and a thief a lot too. Election tactics, what a disgrace. Them cut off ribbon and the place no safe. It's a prime minister, are you me a address? Police a kill off the youth if you check. Talking about the way country are the best. But though this are my perspective, telling you my perspective. These are my perspective to bring change that I feel me.
Well. A pleasant evening to you all. This is The Perspective and I'm your host, Perry Cummings Jr. If you're hearing me loud and clearly in the chat, let me know. Like up the live as soon as you've joined on. If you're watching and you're not yet a subscriber, touch the subscribe button so that we can continue to grow as a family. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the 16th of July 2026. What a very hot month. First of all, the month is very hot. Yeah, it's going to be one of the hottest years. I'm telling you from now, I believe that this year is panning out to be a very hot one. The El Nino is upon us and that is going to come with intense heat. But it's going to get even hotter later on the program. If you know, you know. We'll get into that a little later on. Hail up somebody in the chat. You know, I like to sing a song or two. The song says, lead me, Lord, and I will follow. Lead me, Lord, and I will go. You have called me,
and I will answer. Lead me, Lord, and I will go. Lead me, Lord. We need him. And I will follow. Lead me, Lord, and I will go. For you have called me, and I will answer. Lead me, Lord, and I will go. Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know where you're viewing from before we dive into some very important conversations tonight. I'm seeing all of my wonderful friends in the chat. Blessings. Why pre from outer East Portland? Blessings to you, no man. East Portland, massive tuning in. Corville Gardens, blessings. Clarendon, blessings to you. Falmouth, Silo, St. Elizabeth, East Portland, Connecticut. Blessings. Listowel, Ontario, Canada, Charlestown, North Carolina, Orlando, blessings, Massachusetts. Yes. Toronto, St. Elizabeth. St. Elizabeth is here. Big up all of St. Elizabeth, Manchester, Maryland. Keisha is in the Bronx, Florida. Hopetown, blessings to you. Boyton Beach, St. Catherine, Brooklyn, New York. White House, Yuatan, Mountain View, Sister Winsome, Wagwan. New York is here. Springfield is here. Ian, my brother, out of Kingston 20. Great Pond, Ocherius, blessings. Seaview Garden, Port Maria, New Jersey, New York. Blessings. Who else? Anatole Bake. Pauline Taylor, my darling. West Palm Beach. Blessings. Brooklyn, Bronx, Lawrenceville, Portmore Pines. Blessings to each and every one of you. Boy, Ashani Marcus, me believe, so the St. Elizabeth people. Thank you, Alison Mendes, for the $10 in the chat. Let us all thank Alison for the $10. Thank you so much, Alison. Feel free to support the super chat tonight. Highgate, Yukon, Canada, above rocks, Atlanta, Edmonton, Fort Lauderdale, and just about everybody who is coming on. Remember to touch up the like button. Well, we have some matters to discuss. We have very important matters to discuss, ladies and gentlemen. Later on, we will be having a conversation with Member of Parliament, Damion Crawford. It's going to be an exclusive interview. He's going to be breaking the silence because we've been hearing some things, and I don't know about you, but I'm very concerned. I am a proud supporter of the People's National Party. I'm a young comrade. I'm a young comrade, not just in age, but certainly in terms of support. I've really just started this race, and I want clarity tonight. And I think above everything else, we need clarity. We need to know what is happening. So Mr. Damion Crawford will be coming on later this evening to give answers. That is exactly what he said to me. I need to give answers because the people are asking questions. Yeah, the people are asking questions. So stick around at around 7:30. We're going to be asking the hard questions. And I gave him the expectation already that there are going to be some tough questions that he will have to answer. But he's prepared. He said, listen, I am not afraid. I'm going to be coming on. I'm going to be answering. Yes, and I'm going to be doing so by myself. So we are very much excited to hear what will be said from the Member of Parliament. But until then, my life will go on singing. That's just a beautiful song that I love. But until then, we're going to be touching on some other matters in the interim. Ladies and gentlemen,
the Andrew Wallace administration certainly is a disgrace. And I know tonight we're going to be having a lot of new viewers. I hope we'll have a lot of new subscribers. But if you are new here, I beat carelessness to the core. And one of the biggest carelessness we have in Jamaica is the government of this country. The Andrew Wallace administration, they have proven to us that they are a failure. So if you came on here tonight expecting anything different, well, you've made a sad mistake. This is the most embarrassing administration that I believe I've ever taken up office in this country. And I say so without no apology. Yes, tell him to like up the live. And one of the things that I'm still concerned about, Mr. Holness, is the fact that you went behind the backs of Jamaicans talking about bilateral agreements and all of that nonsense. Something as consequential as this third country national agreement, it should have been consulted on. But because of the dictatorship tendencies that has riddled this administration, because of the dictatorship tendencies that we see from the Green Party, they believe that they are above scrutiny and they can do whatsoever it is that they want to do. Dave Waterburn, don't worry. This is the mic I'm using for tonight. The headset is here, but I'm using this microphone tonight so that you can hear me much clearer. No consultation. You go and you sign something that you don't even understand. What I believe is even more concerning for me, ladies and gentlemen, is the fact that this is not legally settled in the United States of America. I've always played this clip from Comrade Leader Mark Gold, and I believe it's a powerful one and one that we should play more often. Listen to one of my greatest concerns, the fact that this is not even legally sound. Listen to Mark Golding.
To some other news now, the opposition leader Mark Golding is questioning why the Jamaican government would sign an agreement to accept third country nationals from the United States when a judge in that country ruled the practice is illegal. A federal judge in February struck down the Trump administration's third country deportation policy, ruling that deporting migrants to countries other than their own without due process or adequate notice is unlawful. The U.S. government was granted temporary resumption to resume the deportations while they appeal that matter, but Mr. Golding says the arrangement is very concerning.
There's a case decided by a federal judge in Massachusetts which said that these third country arrangements are not lawful under US law. The government of the United States is appealing that to their Supreme Court. That matter is not yet resolved. But we are nevertheless embarking upon an arrangement, notwithstanding the fact that the lawfulness of that arrangement in the jurisdiction of the other country that we're signing to is itself very uncertain.
And while the government, in justifying the agreement, says it is offering assistance to its ally, which is the USA, and one of its biggest trading partners, the opposition leader believes that there's more to this particular issue.
But for something like this, you would have expected that Jamaica would have some benefit from taking all these non-Jamaicans, processing them here, becoming responsible for them here, taking the risks inherent in having them here, and having to deal with them if they don't leave. So we're exposing ourselves to a significant amount of exposure by taking these people here, and risks. So, one would expect there to be some benefit flowing in the other direction.
Ladies and gentlemen, the truth is that there is a lack of care or concern from the Jamaica Labour Party government as it relates to these very important matters. These are genuine concerns. This is not propaganda. And I make no apologies for saying that the one word that a lot of Labourites seem to know, and apparently it's the only word in their vocabulary, is the word propaganda. They learned a new word and they've never released it. But this is not propaganda now, is it? This is the facts. The fact is, no government that is serious about leading with integrity
transparency and accountability should have never signed to such an agreement, especially on the grounds that this is not a legally settled matter. What? Because of money? Yes, Jackie Walford, it's on subscribers only. I know a lot of persons are going to come over tonight, but if they're not subscribing, they can't participate in the comments. So if they want to make comments, they'll have to subscribe. This is not a legally sound matter. But we know that the Jamaica Labour Party overall, they're not built on anything sound. They're not built on that of integrity, no. Why? Because last year, who ran a campaign on integrity, ladies and gentlemen? I believe any government in this democratic society should always include the fight against corruption as a part of, even if it's at the core of their campaign. Last year, we did not see that from the Jamaica Labour Party. They couldn't run a campaign surrounding the fight against corruption, holding their counterparts accountable, ensuring that there's greater levels of transparency. That didn't come from the Jamaica Labour Party last year. Their campaign last year was run on fluff, talking about achievements over promises. There was a disgraceful manifesto. And if you ask me, there wasn't any manifesto. There were no plans for this country coming from the Jamaica Labour Party. And it reflects in the current state of our country today. It reflects in how we operate today, ladies and gentlemen. If you ask the average Jamaican citizen, there is no leadership. There's none. The question is being asked, where are the authorities?
Where are the Jamaican authorities? The question being asked by the attorney representing a Jamaican pastor who was recently deported to Eswatini by the United States. And even as 64-year-old Junior Alves waits for what's next, he does not want to return to Jamaica. Deidre Thomas reports.
For many, a journey to a new country represents hope, opportunity, or a fresh beginning. But for 64-year-old Jamaican national pastor Junior Alves, it has been marked by uncertainty, fear, and unanswered questions. He was among 11 people deported by the United States to Eswatini on July 8, 2026.
Starting out from the get-go, I was wrongfully picked up because of what has been going on with ICE and picking up people. I think I was wrongfully picked up in the crowd.
It was only after that process was underway, he says he learned his destination was a Southern African nation.
I began to question, like I said, and question. And then somebody said, the officer turned to me and said, Mr. I'm sorry to say, but I think they're going to take you to a country. I don't know where they're going to take you, but I think you get deported. I said, stop playing with me, man. Stop playing with me, please, stop playing with me. So I said, no, I'm serious. However, you can talk to an ICE officer. Lo and behold, I seen an ICE officer say, you're going to Africa. I said, Africa? How on earth you want to send me to a place where I got my family in Fort Lauderdale, my 7 kids and my wife. They are going through so much already. My daughter is talking about committing suicide.
We spoke with Mr. Alves while he is at the detention center in Eswatini.
And have you heard any information as to how long you will be there?
No, I've heard nothing at all. I can't say I'm comfortable, which is that I'll be lying. I can't say I'm feeling not. It's so much going on right now. Every day, every morning is a different challenge.
Mr. Alves had been residing in the U.S. for over 4 decades. He told TVJ News he had been allowed to stay in the U.S. by a judge under the United Nations Convention Against Torture, CAT, in 2016. CAT is a binding international human rights treaty that prohibits torture, cruel or degrading treatment in all circumstances. This treaty prevents individuals from being deported to a country they're likely to face torture. As part of that protection, he was required to report to U.S. immigration authorities annually.
I want to be with my family in the U.S. where I belong. They are suffering. I was a breadwinner as a father. My wife is sickly. Her mom just passed. It's so much you're going through. I told the judge, America would be safer for me than to go anywhere else in this world.
According to his wife, Joan Alves, he had documents before a judge when he was picked up and detained by Immigration and Customs Enforcement in January 2026.
He had a pending habeas corpus on a judge's desk. With the habeas corpus, after 180 days, the judge has to question ICE to find out what's going on. So the habeas corpus was open on a judge's desk, and ICE just automatically transferred him out of the country.
Wilfred Rattigan is legal advisor representing Mr. Alves.
Your client, he would have said that he had fears of being in Jamaica at the time. Did he ever tell you why was that so?
No, and I'd rather not delve into that, except to say that he had legal status in the United States and that we are puzzled as to why he was stopped and detained.
Mr. Rattigan further argues that his client does not fit the profile of migrants the Trump administration said it was targeting for removal.
The question is, was he ever arrested for any crime of moral turpitude, they would say, since he acquired legal status? And the answer, to the best of my knowledge, is no.
And while the transfer has drawn public attention, the legal advisor says his client is still waiting for contact from Jamaican officials. He's demanding answers from the government before the week ends.
Mr. Alves has not renounced his Jamaican citizenship, even though he has legal status in the United States, which means the government is obligated to pay a consular visit to him. And here it is that so far he has not heard from them directly, and of course he hasn't seen anyone. And this is a legal requirement. So we're still waiting he's still waiting, and they have their offices in Pretoria, which is next door.
Deidre Thomas, TVJ News.
You know it's bad. It's really bad when you look at the situation, ladies and gentlemen. And I see the comments. Is this some form of illegal deportation that we're seeing? You know, the sources here, the information is quite thought-provoking. Now, the federal courts, including the DC Circuit Court of Appeals, ruled that the administration's alternative summary removal procedures violate existing immigration statutes enacted by Congress. This is the Trump administration under scrutiny. The same administration that Mr. Holness regarded as a friend, his friend. Who remember that exclusive interview with Mr. Holness over by Nationwide, talking about that? Because in my mind, this TCN is coming under heavy fire because of the legal challenges it is facing. But it look bad, the man not even want to come. The man said the safest place for him than anywhere else is the United States. But Mr. Holness said that Jamaica is a peaceful country. Minister of National Security said that this is a peaceful country. So why wouldn't such a the most peaceful in the Caribbean? Why wouldn't he want to come to Jamaica? If Jamaica is so good, Mr. Holness, is there something that we're missing? Investigations and legal groups have documented numerous instances of American citizens being wrongfully detained or targeted during immigration sweeps, which is illegal under the US law. Mr. Holness, be careful. When you talk about the due process concerns, civil rights organizations like the American Civil Liberties Union, they've argued that accelerating mass deportations bypasses essential constitutional removal proceedings and court hearings. Well, you know, if really and truly, when you think about it, ladies and gentlemen, if this TCN is as bad as how it sounds, you know, I'm not surprised that Mr. Holness has agreed to participate in this thing, because it is the same Prime Minister that is going up against Jamaica's primary anti-corruption body, the Integrity Commission.
Because the IC has been under heavy attack. Did you know that Matthew Samuda submitted a proposal trying to get the FID to replace the IC to oversee, the ministers and the MPs statutory declarations? And I said to myself, there is a deliberate undermining of the Integrity Commission that the Labourites have gotten away with. And yes, I'm gonna say it. They've gotten away with this blatant attack against the Integrity Commission. Yes, man, Dennis Strong. We know why we know why he recommended the FID. We know why. Because remember, the criteria was changed to fit a certain person who is very closely associated to the Prime Minister, in the midst of when the Prime Minister himself was under heavy scrutiny, and he's still under scrutiny from me. I know a lot of persons want to drop the conversation about Dr. Andrew Wheatley, though he have been ruled by the Integrity Commission to be charged, including illicit enrichment, for illicit enrichment, still in the cabinet. Still in the cabinet. Just a bare face. There's no regard for what civil society has asked for. Even the church came out. The church came out swinging. We read a beautiful article some time ago. Is it that bad? Is it that bad, ladies and gentlemen? What type of leadership is this that we are under? And you want to tell me that we should recite the Jamaica's the national pledge before God and all mankind? We should be singing the national anthem, praying to which God? Must be bro God, not me though. But Jamaica on a whole is as if we've made excuses for the Andrew Wallace administration to say, hey, they are corrupt. It doesn't even make sense to try and hold them accountable. It doesn't make sense to try and even hold them accountable, because Perry just accept that this is who they are, this is what they are, and you just have to accept it for what it is. It is not fair. I remembered when the young Jamaica, I don't even know if the young Jamaica, what they want to name, came out asking Mark Golding to clarify why there was a delay in his certification. I believe it was for his 2024 statutory declarations. They came out demanding that Mark Golding give clarity. And I'm saying, look at the blatant hypocrisy. The Prime Minister of this country is still not certified. And when I ask Labourites why their Prime Minister is not certified, they can't answer me. But you know what they do? They have fed into what is coming from the top, that somehow the Integrity Commission is an operative of the People's National Party. They don't have proof of this. They don't have proof of this. But the rhetoric is coming from even the Prime Minister himself. Yes, I said it. The Prime Minister made some innuendos. He insinuated that the IC is somewhat biased and that there is some form of attack against the Jamaica Labour Party. The loudmouth Everald Warmington said it more blatantly. Listen to this nonsense.
Danger to being the odd man out, a jail PMP has come to the defense of Dr. Andrew Wheatley, who has been recommended for corruption charges following a report by the Integrity Commission. The MP argues that due process must be followed. Jamila Maitland reports.
Member of Parliament for St. Catharines Southwestern, Everald Warmington, has come out in support of the embattled government minister, Dr. Andrew Wheatley, following a damning Integrity Commission report. The IC's report recommended that 4 charges be brought against Dr. Wheatley, chief among them illicit enrichment.
Integrity Commission, does it still have credibility? Jamaicans don't believe in them. Jamaica don't listen to them. Why do I say so? It is known that they are biased in whatever they are doing.
Mr. Warmington, who's been a strong critic of the commission, argues that the agency is targeting the government members of parliament.
They never see anything that is said by the other about the other party in the time at all. Secondly, everybody is innocent until proven guilty. Okay? They wrote this nonsense. Nobody knows if it's correct. Okay? So
what is correct though?
No, they don't. What they're saying about with Dr. Wheatley, who knows if those things are correct? They can write anything. Dr. Wheatley, give him a chance to prove his innocent.
Mikel Phillips was fined a late fee by the Integrity Commission for missing the deadline for filing his statutory declarations. Ian Hales' matter was referred to the Commissioner of Police to investigate further for forgery. When our news team contacted the Corporate Communications Unit at the JCF, no one was aware of any active investigation. Unlike Dr. Wheatley, neither opposition MPs were investigated for illicit enrichment. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness acknowledged the detailed report, but
in the meantime, now based on the allegations that you've seen, do you think it's appropriate for the minister to step aside?
Is he guilty of anything? Give him a chance to prove himself. If it came from somewhere else, maybe, but not from the Integrity Commission, because no credibility.
Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness acknowledged the detailed report by the IC, but says he too has confidence in Dr. Wheatley. During an interview on Nationwide News Network, the Prime Minister said he's to meet with Dr. Wheatley on Monday, June 22 to discuss the report. He did stress that there were no charges yet brought against him. Almost a week after the report was tabled in the Parliament, checks made by our newsroom revealed that Dr. Wheatley has not been charged. As of Tuesday, June 23, our news team understand that Dr. Andrew Wheatley is still part of Cabinet. Jamila Maitland, TVJ News.
What a disgrace. What a disgrace. This is what we've become as a country, you know. They set a precedent. They set a precedent, and then they're the same ones that come now and undermine it. Because if I should remember, ladies and gentlemen, under this same Andrew Holness administration, we've seen a number of resignations. J.C. Hutchinson, in July of 2020, stepped down as minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Agriculture, pending a probe into matters concerning the Agro Invest Corporation. It was just pending a probe, you know. But amid public pressure, Hutchinson took himself. Robert Montague relinquished a cabinet portfolio shift amid public scrutiny and organizational controversies during his tenure. Montague had to take away himself. Floyd Green resigned as Minister of Agriculture and Fisheries in September 2021 after the video that did surface showing him breaching COVID-19 lockdown protocols at a social gathering. Him did have to take away himself. Ruel Reid. Well, you know, speaking about Ruel Reid, you know, it's really disgraceful how Ruel Reid could have just walked about talking about a fourth term loading as if there was nothing concerning, you know, regarding him. But Ruel Reid resigned as Minister of Education in March 2019 following the allegations of corruption and mismanagement at the ministry and related public bodies. The same Dr. Andrew Wheatley had to step down in 2018 amid the public pressure as well. So how is it now, Mr. Holness and Warmington, loud and obnoxious? How is it now that they should just remain in their positions when persons before them, even the same man who is being referred to be charged for illicit enrichment, he had to step down years ago with the whole thing that happened at Petrojam? It is a disgrace, and their arguments just make no sense. You cannot blame the Integrity Commission for your inability to make 1 + 1 = 2. What they have submitted to the IC, ladies and gentlemen, is just simply not enough to convince the IC that these people are walking the straight and narrow path. There is nobody to blame but yourself, JLP. And you are all following the footsteps of your leader, always challenging the institutions, always challenging the rulings that are there to protect the citizens and to provide guardrails against corruption. You want to talk about an embarrassing MPs and ministers. You talk about this man here. Undermining, underperforming, he says, medical professionals must share blame for the state of the health sector. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? This is who is at the helm of the health ministry. And instead of taking a step back, doing a reassessment, Mr. Tufton, going back to the drawing board to see where you went wrong as the health minister, you are now going to ask for the sharing of blame. No, don't get me wrong. If medical professionals are underperforming and they are still in those positions underperforming, well, it still reflects poorly on your ability to hold those medical professionals accountable. Because if there is a trend of underperforming medical professionals, why are they still there? Are these people the scapegoats for you? What actions have you taken to ensure that underperforming medical professionals are not saturating our healthcare system? And according to you, they are part of the problem. Rubbish. What have you done for the past decade being health minister? What have you done? I'm trying to understand what became of the Cornwall Regional Hospital. Billions of dollars floating around in radio land and on TV. The amount of money you say, you get for Cornwall. Look at the Kingston Public Hospital. The other day, the failure of the air conditioning system, delayed surgeries, Mr. Tufton. Which medical professional is to be blamed for a delay of an AC system or AC unit? It's a disgrace. Who should be blamed for that? Maintenance is a big problem under your watch. And instead of trying to fix what we already have, you are all talking about this new Kingston hospital that will come. What about the one that currently exists?
Yeah, well, I'm a big yard man. What made you leave Jamaica to come to Miami? Just here for 2 days. My son loves football, and of course, World Cup going on. And I said, listen, I'm going to treat him. So we are here just to watch and then head back. Why do you think Jamaica never make it to the World Cup? Because we have the heart of lions, but sometimes the coordination is a little out of place. We have done it before, one time actually, but we never made it this time, unfortunately. But still a champion team. As a matter of fact, most big teams now have Jamaican players, including the big England that won today. What do you do for work? So I'm the Minister of Health and Wellness in Jamaica. Do you think that Jamaica has a good healthcare system? I think we have a better healthcare system than we had 10 years ago when we took office. What's the difference? More hospital beds, more diagnostic equipment, more drugs being given to persons who are ill free of cost, more doctors and nurses, more legislation or policy around restriction of sugary drink. But let me stress, it's never perfect and it never really reaches the target that you want because the challenges evolve every single day. So if there's one thing that you want to see change now as the health minister, what would you want it to be? I think it would be really good if every citizen understood that they have a a role to protect their own health. Secondly, though, the nurses and doctors showing more empathy. Because over time, if you're in the business long enough, you get a little cold to illness, and sometimes you miss the importance of showing better care. Even as you administer clinical care, the behavioral response to people is also very important. If a baby falls off a bed, it's a crisis. If you take it from the perspective of someone who is suffering or having a relative who is suffering, it's always a crisis. And everybody expects an immediate response and an immediate remedy. It's always not possible to do that. More often than not, it's not. But you try. So my ideal world is to see each of us taking a decision that we're going to live in a way that protects us, exercise, rest, drink more water than sugary drink, that sort of thing. And also those who work in the system recognizing that it's not good enough to just be an excellent clinician. It's also important to administer care with empathy, because empathy helps to overcome the kind of
fire. You can't stand up like stooge. You can't go on like a fool. You have to fire back. Somebody load up and say pop, 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 pop. Lord God, badam, bam, bam, bam. Jesus Christ, what is what pop, 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 pop. Jesus Christ, war tonight, Bishop. Warfare tonight. Warfare. Badam, bam, bam, bam. Boom, boom.
What a disgrace, ladies and gentlemen. The Minister of Health went to Miami and told blatant lies. You know, thank God for Shaggy that bypassed you, Mr. Tufton, to ensure that the Bustamante Hospital for Children got beds, equipment, and other things needed to see to it that the hospital could function at an optimal level or at a better level. Because if it was up to you and you alone, if it was up to you and you alone, Mr. Tufton, God help us. I wish the interviewer asked you about the Cuban medical program that the administration to which you serve ended without no real reason. Spreading propaganda about spies coming. That is what came from some of your supporters. About spies and people being exploited and all sort of nonsense. An over 50-year-old medical program that impacted lives of every Jamaican citizen. Whether you voted for PNP or GLP, we all benefited from that. And you as the Minister of Health kicked them to the curb. Kicked them to the curb. Ended the program. And now you want to start a new one. Talking about new nurses will be coming on a different arrangement. So what is it really about, Andrew Holness? Your administration seems to be about trying to build legacies or projects to claim and to say, oh, we did this, we did that, but destroy everything that the People's National Party built. For what? Who is it really about? So this disgraceful administration, I say it all the time. I don't know how people could support this administration. There's too much hanky-panky going on. Ladies and gentlemen, let us take a quick break. When we come back, we touch on some other matters. Yes, as we await the very needed conversation with MP Damion Crawford soon come.
And Pearl Therapy, we are here to help you to bring ultimate relaxation to your feet. Our hot stone, Swedish, and deep tissue massage services are here to help you to get rid of tensions, minor swellings, and aches and pain, increase flexibility and circulation. If you are having any heart or circulatory diseases, then this might not be for you. Reach out to us and let's see if you can secure yourself with a foot massage for as low as $4,500. Thank you for choosing Pearl Therapy, the healing hub.
Are you frustrated with your skincare? Are you tired of acne, blemishes, scars, sagging skin, wrinkles, discoloration? Why not enjoy our wide array of products, from skin, hair, and personal care? Place your frustration on our shoulders, and we will get you smiling again. The power of our products are in our formulation and ingredients. Listen to our customer testimonial. This is what she has to say.
Oh my gosh, look at my face. I've been using these products for a year, exactly 1 year. If you have not tried them, you need to try them. They really work. Look at my skin.
Visit our website or contact us at 917-557-6204. Make it Tony and Organics and order yours today.
Food is designed to be felt, not just tasted. Soft warmth, gentle richness, a harmony that melts effortlessly on the tongue. At Cummings Exquisite Caterers, every dish is an invitation, guided by passion, finished with elegance. We cater for life's most meaningful moments, elegant weddings, private celebrations, and much more. With a serene repast center just 10 minutes away from 2 major cemeteries. We are located at 38 Dublin Spanish Town Road. Reach out to us, 876-573-9124.
Cummings Exquisite Caterers, where desire. Our first social media question tonight comes from Instagram. Shania in Kingston, she says, low voter turnout suppresses the effectiveness of a democratic society. Many Jamaicans refuse to vote because they believe both parties are corrupt. What would you say to the significant population of non-voters? And if elected, how will you hold politicians accountable for offenses against the people instead of protecting them?
So in this instance, the question, you have 90 seconds to answer, and we begin with Dr. Holness.
Corruption is a serious problem in our country, and corruption requires strong leadership. From my position as Prime Minister, I have taken action against any member of my political party that has been involved or accused of anything that suggests corruption. In my own case, I have been investigated for a year with an expert forensic auditor. The findings of that report have suggested no corruption. There have been no charges. Every aspect of my report, every aspect of my personal life and my personal financial details are in the public domain. I am the politician about which Jamaica knows the most. And therefore, I am the politician who can stand with the greatest moral authority to treat with any matter that is considered corrupt, as I have done in the past. And I want to give this assurance to the Jamaican people that you know me, you know about me, you can trust me, and you know that I stand against corruption.
Mr. Golding has the opportunity to respond to that social media question as well.
Andrew, what they know about you is that you have 28 bank accounts, that you received several $1 million in cash deposits from anonymous donors in your bank account, that your companies had transactions of over $400 million, several thousand transactions between them, and that Positive Jamaica Foundation, a non-profit which you are intimately connected with, provided resources which you use for personal investments through your personal company. We have signed the Leadership Code of Conduct developed by Integrity Commission. All of our spokespersons and myself have signed. None of your people have signed it. I am committed to ensuring that all members of the executive, when we form government, will have their Integrity Commission declarations published, not just the leader of the opposition and what should happen, but hasn't happened in your case because you're not certified, the Prime Minister. So the whole question that has been asked is an excellent question. And we really need to step up our vigilance against corrupt behavior,
from the People's National Party media.
Volume of scandals, under this Jamaica Labour Party government is unprecedented. Over the number of ministers who have had to be removed from frontline duty, many of them parked in the naughty corner in OPM rather than being sacked. It is a disgrace to the country, and your personal situation where you're operating under a deep cloud because your Integrity Commission declarations are not certified also is something which Jamaica cannot go forward with.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining. I'm being encouraged to encourage you, my viewers, to like up the live. We're going to be having a very exclusive conversation, interview with Member of Parliament Damion Crawford. Just reached out and he is on standby. It's a needed conversation, ladies and gentlemen. It's a needed conversation. Let's get the likes going. Remember, we aim for at least 500 likes every night. Certainly, we can achieve that tonight. Thank you, Mr. Likes Boss, in the chat. Dave Wedderburn, yes, man. And AG, tell him to like up the live. Touch up the like, but yeah, man, I know some of you over here for a particular person, and that's all right. But while you're here, and you may not return, some of you, at least give me some likes before you just come on guard. Yes, it's not good to go to people's house and you just near man left. Oh, tonight with the interviews at 7:30. Me can't bother with the near man left. Comrade Zebedo. Come on, man. Yes. So touch up. A lot of you new over here. Get used to it. I'm going to give you a minute to touch up the like button. He abide. I saw we mother nice over here. He abide. Hallelujah. He abide with. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, it is a very interesting night indeed. It's good to be here. This is The Perspective, and I'm your host, Perry Cummings Jr. Before we get into other matters, I know a lot of persons saw when MP Desmond McKenzie was pepper sprayed I tell you this, I would be lying if I told you that I did not laugh. The night when we spoke about it, all my viewers over here, persons were telling me they were on the floor. People were laughing, and you know, I can understand why a lot of persons were laughing. The truth is, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to continue and continue if persons don't understand what is truly taking place in Jamaica. Nobody is spared from the aggressive approach from some of our JCF officers. And I saw a clip, when we playing two clips, I saw something from Isaac Buchanan regarding police brutality. And I believe Mark Jefferson Golden, he was at a very important conference today, and he was calling for a Marshall Plan to rescue hurricane-hit small businesses. It has been a lament from the opposition as to why we don't see that type of support being given to our small businesses or medium businesses. And if you know, it is the small businesses that really and truly keeps the economy afloat. If you really want to spur growth, invest in your small men, so to speak. We've not been seeing that. We've not been seeing that yet. We hear from the CEO of NARA coming out the other day saying some things that I couldn't really understand. And it wasn't a lack of understanding, but I think he has a trouble of communicating his thoughts. And I say that in the most respectful way, in the most respectful way. Listen to this before we get to what Isaac said. Listen to this.
The National Reconstruction and Resilience Authority, NARA, is in the process of mapping large construction projects across the island. CEO of NARA, Major General Anthony Anderson, gave an update at the recent Recovery and Rebuilding Expo in St. James. Details from Andrea Chisholm.
Here is, as I said, we have a mandate to accelerate. We have a mandate to do things faster, at scale, with transparency and accountability.
The CEO of NARA reiterating the purpose of the agency as it builds the foundation for rapid reconstruction projects following the devastation caused by Hurricane Melissa.
Urgency is what we're about now. And speedy outcomes and an accelerated process. But what that is not is undue haste. You can't do it in a fool way, where you just, to achieve haste, you don't do it properly. That would be as big a tragedy as probably not doing it at all.
Major General Anthony Anderson reiterated that the new and improved infrastructure has to be resilient to natural disasters such as hurricanes and earthquakes. Following his appointment, which took effect on June 1, NARA has been speaking with several stakeholders.
One of the first things that we are doing is getting a sense of all of the large projects that are taking place in the country. To do this, we have to have and have been having the meetings with the various MDAs, with the private sector, the construction industry, and anyone else who is thinking, and the private sector, of course, who are doing their own developments. And the reason for that, we really need all of this development, all of these projects mapped. We need to be able to look at Jamaica and see what's going on in space and in time.
That would promote synergy across different sectors as they work together to get the job done. The NARA legislation clearly states that there should be a registry of projects, all of which have to be approved by Cabinet. Major General Anderson says the projects and their progress will be published on NARA's website so that individuals can track developments. Andrea Chisholm, TVJ News.
nothing about NARA impresses me. Probably the concept. Because like the opposition, I believe that the concept of a NARA isn't a bad one. Yes? And just to remind the viewers tonight, the opposition was never against NARA as a concept, fast tracking recovery and cutting around, unnecessary obstacles that would prevent us from efficiently meeting the needs of the people post Hurricane Melissa. Nobody's against the idea of NARA. But we know that this NARA here, now that it has become law, it says little to how it will impact the average Jamaican citizen, specifically the hurricane victims. And that is a big problem for me. Mr. Anderson has failed to reassure the people of Jamaica as to how NARA will really and truly impact and see to it that persons bounce back. We don't know what NARA is truly about, really. Yes, there's an acronym, but one of my regular viewers of an acronym, ladies and anybody can read what you see on the screen there. What is this? Next Andrew Robbery Revenue Agency. Lord God Almighty.
Aim. Sakata. We are mash up, fire under the Holy Ghost. Every crisis, every condition, every operation of hell. Fire, Bishop. I got your back. Fire. Jesus Christ, watch the operation. Jesus Christ, Eastwood Park Road. Come on. Cover your pastor. Cover.
In Black River, the people in Black River are also concerned about the fact that they have not heard anything as it relates to how they will be assisted. There has been a very quiet period. There has been a very quiet, there's this silence regarding recovery. I mean, this CEO of NARA is not convincing any at all. We don't know how NARA will be impacting the lives of the hurricane victims, the small businesses, medium businesses. Mark Golding, leader of the opposition and party leader, raised a concern regarding this and has asked that there be a plan to help our small businesses. Yes? Listen to this.
Especially given that this fiscal year we have suspended the fiscal rules so that the government has more leeway in how it manages the situation. I think we really need a kind of Marshall Plan for small businesses in the affected areas of the country. Those in the Westmoreland, parts of St. Elizabeth, parts of Hanover, parts of St. James and Trelawney, and even St. Anne, and even parts of Manchester, where businesses, and I'm talking primarily about small businesses, many of whom are uninsured, many of whom have suffered losses to their physical assets and their trading assets, their stock. They need help, and they need it fast. And I think we need to roll out a serious Marshall Plan to get those businesses back up and running so that they can resume their contribution to employment and to economic activity and indeed economic growth. And that's the main message I want to carry this morning. In the US, when the Great Recession hit after the stock exchange crashed, in the New York Stock Exchange crashed in the late 1920s going into the early 1930s, and they were down and out. It was the New Deal that was introduced as a fiscal measure to turn that economy from contraction back to expansion. And that was done successfully and set the stage for the rapid growth of the US economy, which they enjoyed for decades thereafter, despite, or maybe I shouldn't say despite, because World War II in its own way would have contributed to that as well through the whole arms industry and what have you. But the point I'm making is we can't, in a time of depression or contraction or difficulties, challenges, adopt a pro-cyclical approach to economic management. We have to be more creative, we have to be bolder. And while we must, of course, always maintain the targets that we want to meet in terms of debt GDP ratios and so on, there must be some flexibility in how we approach those in terms of the dates and what have you, because we need to address present problems, and there's serious problems in a real way.
Well, the truth is, ladies and gentlemen, I don't think the government, I don't think they really have a plan as to how they can truly cause Jamaica to bounce back from the Hurricane Melissa crisis. You see, NARA really and truly, it sounds good. Yes, from an ideological perspective, it would be the right thing to conjure up. But when you recognize that the execution of it is still slow. So they say that NARA is to fast track recovery, but NARA is not yet off the ground. I'm still trying to understand. Shouldn't the speed that we expect NARA to execute tasks with equate to how quickly it gets off the ground? I'm not sure if you understand what I'm saying. Because what I heard from the CEO of NARA is that we're still at a standstill. We're still at a standstill. So for me, AG, it has just been all talk and no action. But the people in the West, specifically, many of them are on the tarpaulin. Again, labor rights is not propaganda. Your favorite news media brought the news as well. Labor rights. This lady was on a rocking chair. People still under tarpaulin. People still in cars. Yes, people under zinc. So when will NARA fast track anything? So we've not seen the road to recovery as yet. So they're talking about the road to recovery. They have this donation website. We don't hear nothing more about the donation website. I don't hear anything. I went on the site today. You are still able to donate and to even make a pledge. So why is it that the Information Minister, Dr. Dana Morris Dixon, have not come out to inform us as to where we are in collections? I remember how strident supporters of the JLP and those, insignificant JLP bloggers were demanding that Mark Golin tell us what he did with the donation money. And they were at it, and they were at it, and they were at it. And I'm like, listen, we are going to know how the PNP spent the donations that they collected. And the PNP did communicate same. And we recognize that the conversation surrounding donation and PNP, it faded away so much that it doesn't exist anymore. Where is that same level of interest in trying to know where are we in terms of the donation money? Because the website is still up, so I can only assume, and I would be within my right to assume, that the Jamaican government is still collecting donations to assist the people of Jamaica, especially those who were severely affected by the hurricane. We don't hear anything. NARA is not off the ground as yet. They created havoc in Parliament to pass this bill. The bill was passed, and we still don't hear anything about any meaningful rebuilding and recovery. Where are we? We're at a crossroads. We're at a crossroads. And when people criticize the government, the Prime Minister will tell you to go away, or you will tell people to tell you to go away. When people asked about the TCN agreement, go away. We should not ask questions. We shouldn't ask questions. It is, I won't even say it's unfair, but it is unbecoming of any government that claims to be serious about governance. You don't dismiss genuine concerns coming from the people of the country that you are supposed to be serving, because you are public servants, right? And I'm pretty sure later we'll touch on education, but I'm hearing that the Ministry of Education will be increasing, or they have increased public school allocation by what, 55% or so it go? Don't quote me on it. We're going to play a short clip. But we still see a lot of schools struggling, and long before the hurricane, we've had a problem with a number of our schools. Listen to this, ladies.
Public schools will receive an additional $755 million, which will go towards repairs and student welfare. Education Minister Dr. Dana Morris-Dixon made the announcement at Wednesday's post-cabinet press briefing. Kelisha Williams has that story.
The announcement by Education Minister Dr. Dana Morris-Dixon at Wednesday's post-cabinet press briefing.
We have increased the funding to all public schools this year. And that's a very, very big deal for us. It meant moving our own budget to prioritize this area. And this should be noted for all of Jamaica. On average, every public school is getting 55% more funding from the Ministry of Education.
She explained that the additional allocation will amount to $755 million, and primary schools and special needs institutions will be prioritized. The first tranche has already been distributed, with the other two payments to be made in September and December respectively. While there is flexibility in how the funds can be used, 25% of the money should go towards administration, repair and maintenance 20%, teaching and learning materials 30%, STEAM and TVET 15%, and student welfare 10%.
I saw one school that would get $800,000 per year because it's a small school, moved to $3 million. So it's significant increases, especially at the base, but it differs depending on the school, the number of students that are there.
This allocation comes at a time when many parents have been complaining about the spike in fees at public schools. For instance, this story featured in The Star on July 2nd. In this case, the fee was $67,000, $43,000 for the tuition, plus $24,000 for summer school.
In relation to school fees, the government's policy is very clear. No child should be excluded from school if they are not able to pay the fees. That is very clear from the Ministry of Education. That's the government's policy. Some schools do charge fees, but they have no right to deny any child access to an education.
She said she expects schools to use the recent allocation to assist students who are not able to afford it. But there are also additional welfare grants that schools can request to offset the burden.
You can come to the ministry. We have had schools that have said, 90% of my students are on path. I need a little bit more support on nutrition. And the ministry works and tries to give that support. So we have a system where there are grants for schools, but we understand the dynamic of what we're working in and that there may be other realities at play. And so we urge our principals to reach out to the regional teams.
Kelisha Williams, TVJ News.
Well, the truth is, ladies and gentlemen, I wouldn't be the best person to give you clarity on the Ministry of Education. And that clarity will be coming on a little later. at this moment, we will be hearing for the first time since what we've been hearing in the political grapevine, for the first time, an exclusive interview, a conversation. While he settles, he's backstage. I'll allow him to take his time to get ready, because we're going to be giving Mr. Damion Crawford the opportunity to clear the air, give answers. Sure, a lot of us have questions, and he's quite aware as to what will be required of him. Tonight, of course, we're going to be touching other matters in terms of PEP, the PEP results. We saw the opposition spokesperson, education, raising some concerns about what the government painted this image that, oh, it is just so good, but there are some technicalities that we don't want to gloss over now. Yeah, Mr. Damion Crawford is here. Just to put context to the conversation, we will play this clip that we saw some time ago when Mr. Crawford explained why he stepped away from the PAAC meeting, and it was through that interview that he did, he clarified that he would not do anything to harm the organization that he shares. After this, we will begin our conversation with MP Damion Crawford. Remember to touch up the like button. Yeah, get settled.
Tension appears to be brewing within the parliamentary opposition as one of its members have been replaced on a parliamentary oversight committee. The country learned yesterday that Damion Crawford will no longer be a member of the PAAC. Details in this report. Tongues have been wagging for several weeks about Damion Crawford's future as a member of the Public Administration and Appropriations Committee, PAAC. And when he was absent from the January 27 meeting, where members drilled the JPS, concerns heightened. Fast forward to Tuesday's meeting of the lower house, where a leader of government business made this announcement.
It resolved with reference to the resolution approved by this Honourable House on October 21, 2025, appointed a Public Administration and Appropriations Committee, that the name Damion Crawford be removed from the membership of the committee, and that the name Alfred Dawes be substituted thereof. Madam Speaker, I further beg to give notice.
There has since been speculation that Mr. Crawford was booted by the leadership of the opposition. However, well-placed sources revealed that it was Mr. Crawford's decision to step away. TVJ News understands that he'd taken issue with how he was being treated at PAAC sittings, particularly by the chairman Peter Bunting, when he sought to pose questions. There were two incidents which has stood out. On December 10, 2025,
Mr. Crawford, after you've gone about 7 or 8 questions, I think you could stop and allow other members.
With due respect, Chairman.
And allow other members. And we can come back to you. We can come back to you. No
problem if you want to come back, but I'm not going to be hastening not to ask
No, I'm not saying that you must ask questions.
All right, fine. So you can come back.
And the PAAC sitting on January 14, 2026.
There is no recommendation from the Ministry of Labour to those persons as to how you would prefer for them to be treated?
Well, I don't know if the arrangement is temporary or if it's a closed contract. Then if the contract is terminated, then the procedures would apply.
We're moving into the realm of speculation because the PS couldn't know what the terms of these contracts are.
No. Chairman, I don't know if you can allow me to participate in the committee, but I find that you consistently answer the questions I'm trying to understand.
I have to maintain a balance.
It's further understood that concerns were brought to the attention of the opposition's leadership, but Mr. Crawford was not satisfied with how the issue was handled, and so he subsequently resigned from the committee. Mr. Crawford's replacement is Member of Parliament for South East St. Catherine and Opposition Spokesman on Health, Dr. Alfred Dawes. We tried to get a comment from Mr. Crawford on the issue. However, up to news time, there was no response. While changes to parliamentary committee are not uncommon, the circumstances surrounding this are likely to fuel further debate in the days ahead.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we're going to be having a conversation with MP Damion Crawford regarding what we've been hearing in the political grapevine. MP, Mr. Crawford, how are you, sir?
How are you doing, my brother? All is well?
Yes, man, all is well, man. Thank you for supporting the super chat, Gunners. Yes, Mr. Crawford, the people are here. We are excited to really hear from you. This is really your first interview after we've been hearing certain things in the political space, and we're going to be talking about PEP and education, as that is your area of expertise. But the elephant is in the room, Mr. Crawford. The first question I would like to ask, are you aware, and can you confirm or deny? Somebody saying that you are low. Maybe, I don't know if you could probably go closer to the mic. I'm not sure.
Check. Are you hearing me?
Yeah, we're hearing you. I think personally are just saying that you're a bit low.
Okay.
Yeah. But there has been a lot of conversations regarding your ambitions to lead the People's National Party. But more concerning for many, it's been said that there has been conversations about persons making calls on your behalf. Some say calls to caretakers, donors, and delegates representing you to start this campaign for the PNP. Can you confirm or deny or that? What is happening there?
Well, this has become the norm for the last 2 years. If you carry your mind back to June, July, August of last year, there was persons, one of which Mama Stan and others, who were doing the same kind of public assassination of my character. And it seemed to be a strategy employed to, I guess, dissuade. However, there is no probability of a challenge within the People's National Party in 2026 because the rules indicate that it has to be every other year. So the only time that there can be a challenge would be 2027. And I would not put a party through the rigors of a political campaign for 15, 16 months. So no one has heard an announcement from me because there can be no challenge in 2026. However, a Democratic Socialist Party would have within its concept have two things, democracy and socialism as central pillars of the party. And therefore it is the right of anyone who is a member to assess his own capacity to contribute, to assess the conversations he has had with others, and to then see if he believes in his conscience that he can contribute more in a different position, or she can contribute more in a different position. And when that time comes, I'll make that assessment. So as you have seen, I've been quiet, and whatever supporters that I may have, they have generally been quiet as well, because this is a much to do about nothing conversation that initiates every July and August.
So you've mentioned a few things, Mr. Crawford. You mentioned the People's National Party being a democratic one, and I'm sure everybody would agree that you all should have a right, anybody should have a right to throw their hat in the ring. So you've not made it a secret that you hope to one day lead the PNP. But what we do know about aspirations, Mr. Crawford, is that normally when you aspire to lead an organization, there is normally something that you'd want to change. Do you believe that there is something missing from the leadership of Mark Golding that you may want to do differently?
It would be stupid of me as a member of the inner circle, meaning a member of parliament and a person with access to the ears of Mark Golding, to discuss any shortcomings I perceive outside of a campaign in a public way. So therefore, if it is that there are shortcomings that I perceive, it would be sensible for me, having access to his office and his ears, to indicate that to him. What I do know is that we have lost 3 elections. Report. And so
you were getting a call just now. You were getting a call. Go again.
We have lost 3 elections, and we can't afford to lose the 4th. And so the People's National Party must ensure that we assess all realities, all positions, and all individuals, and put our best foot forward. And so that includes the indoor agent and the outdoor agent. That includes the cluster managers. That includes the councillors and the candidates. And it includes the officers. So a party that has lost 3 times must do a full introspection and try to ensure that it don't lose the 4th time. But any shortcomings that exist within the leadership, I have sufficient access to the leadership to feel free to have that conversation with them.
You mentioned putting our best foot forward. We've lost 3 elections, you said. Do you believe that a best foot forward for the PNP could be new leadership, and that being you?
Again, there will be a time for that decision, and that is in 2027. So in 2027, the party constitution has organized for there to be a clear vacancy and for persons that have interest to offer themselves. At that time, all members should assess within their own conscience if they believe that they should offer themselves based on the callings of others and based on the conversations with others and based on the personal perceptions of themselves. So, no, I have not completed that assessment to this point. And I have felt no pressure to complete that assessment to this point. But I have contributed to this party. I've sacrificed consistently for this party. I have led for this party on occasion. And to that extent, I have no intent to kick over the entire bucket of all the things that I have contributed to working towards, and many others have contributed to working towards. And so when the assessment is done, with full respect and with open communication, we don't think that we have to attack the person who we disagree with. We would indicate to the public if we believe that steps are necessary. At this time, there was no need to make that assessment.
No, okay. As you've mentioned something about you wouldn't kick over the bucket and burn it all down to build it up back again. However, on the ground, Mr. Crawford, we've been hearing so many different persons, some bloggers, some comments on the ground saying that you are a part of a destabilizing process and that other MPs have colluded with you. I don't want to call any name, but there was a certain MP that stepped down recently from a certain position to focus on his constituency. Many are saying that was a coordinated action between you and him to somehow solidify your best foot forward. Is that can you deny that there's no such collusion?
Well, first of all, the logic of the argument seems to be flawed. Stepping down to solidify our position just don't seem to make sense. However, many of the persons I've seen having loud conversations are not in a position to know. They would not be in a position to know. But they make money and they get attention from acting as if they know. But I can tell you of my history in this party. I joined in 2007, the front lines of the party after our election loss. Most people are attracted to a political party on the front line when an election is won. I became the YO president in 2008 and fought tooth and nail to bring the party to power in 2011. I would have marched to Jamaica House at least 2 occasions and led a YO that many would have argued was one of the most efficient and effective YOs in recent memory. I then ran for a seat that was expected to lose, that was East Rural St. Andrew, on the basis that they were coming with young people time, and I was recruited to the electoral numbers as a representation of the young people. I ran in that seat and won that seat, that is East Rural St. Andrew, and continued to work in that seat, placed my best foot forward, had a falling out on this, and if history should be the home of truth, had a falling out and a demonstration against children having education, saying that education can and picnic can vote. If persons are willing to carry their minds back to the realities of what happened. Thereafter, there was a challenge. And in that challenge, I lost the challenge. And despite having lost the challenge, came out and fully campaigned in 2011. Thereafter, I ran for the vice president of the party, won with the most votes, and served the party to its fullest. When the leadership changed and there were calls for a support team for the leader who were overt in support, I offered my position to a 2+2 agreement that we had. I then continued to campaign on behalf of the People's National Party and was a central figure in the campaign in 2020. Notwithstanding having lost, I went back to the Senate, consistently advocated on behalf of the people through the Senate. In fact, would have carried much attention to the People's National Party. Mark Bowling was the leader of the party. And there's none among us who intends to be truthful that can claim that I didn't do all that I could to win the last election.
Yes, go ahead. I want to. You made a point. I want to ask, but go ahead. Finish up with that.
Right. I mean, many don't know, but I toured over 32 constituencies despite having my own constituency, and not only having my own constituency, knew that if I lost, my career would have been over, and was running in a seat that only won by 122 the election before. Notwithstanding, I made myself available to multiple candidates: Hanover, St. James, Trelawney. The only parish that I didn't walk during the election was St. Elizabeth, and that was because a press conference called on the day, and I was a member of the press conference. Portland, all of those places. So my contribution to the party and dedication, I forgot. I also resigned my job in 2019 to run in East Portland on the simple basis that many felt I was the best person to put up a fight in East Portland. At that time, we were 11 points behind. I still hold the record for number of votes by a PNP candidate in East Portland today. I still hold the record for number of votes by a PNP candidate in East Rural St. Andrew to today. So I left my
Mr.
job
Crawford.
at the university. Mm-hmm.
Yes, you left. Yeah, we remembered you being a lecturer at UWI.
Yeah.
Mr. Crawford, some would say that you listing out your achievements and nobody should discredit your achievements. One would say that sounds like a campaign speech. Are you confirming that you will challenge the leadership of the PNP?
No, because I've made no achievement. I've made contributions. I've listed my contribution. I've listed my effort. So to see members of the party find joy in utterances such as a mongrel brings pain to my own heart and my own conscience, because I have sacrificed a lot on behalf of the party and I've contributed a lot to the party. It doesn't cause for you to deserve anything other than respect. And I believe that I have proven my commitment sufficient to deserve respect.
Oh, so you're saying that you feel, regardless of your ambitions, you believe that you should be shown as a certain level of respect. I think the viewers just really want to know. I mean, it's really up to you if you're comfortable sharing, because you've not denied it. Will you, Mr. Crawford, challenge leadership next year?
I can't say. As I said, it would be foolish to put a party in a campaign for 14 months. It would also be damaging to put a party in a campaign for 14 months. So even if I had made up my mind, I would not communicate that at this particular point in time. What I am going to fight for to the end is the right to do so within a democratic party.
Okay.
And that right exists for any one of us who perceives in their conscience that they can make a contribution at any level.
Okay, Mr. Crawford, I just 3 more questions or so, then we get to your portfolio. A lot of persons remembered you on the campaign being very vocal, platform to platform, a lot of sound bites coming from you, but now you are not the Crawford. Many, and this is what I'm hearing on the ground, as a political commentator, many are saying that you're quiet now. Is it that because you are otherwise minded? You represented the team last year to debate on social issues. We've been faced with a myriad of different social issues, and persons are saying Crawford is quiet. Is that so, and if so, why?
Well, again, I like to use objective measures. So a person can simply go and search the name Damion Crawford in the YouTube. Let's look at the parliament. While I was a member of the committee, the PAAC, at least 3 viral clips came that benefited the PMP, including the one where I questioned where the money was going for the hurricane relief, including where I questioned the Ministry of Finance, etc. I would have made presentations in Parliament that have been shared all over the internet, not by me, but by others, on gambling, on casinos, on NHT, on the proposal of willing the NHT benefit. Just last week I spoke on Dean Pierce. I don't believe that there are persons, there are not many who have made more contributions in the Parliament. So I'm not sure how they measure going silent. There is absolutely no campaign going on at this particular point in time. And so therefore, my work has been in the Parliament, for which I've tried to be studious in executing that. So any Google search would deny the rumor being spread about being silent.
Yeah, well, Mr. Crawford, certainly we appreciate you answering that. Just 2 more questions. You've made mention of you having the right to aspire, right? You have the right to aspire.
And others, any others.
Yourself and others, yes. Yourself and others. And a lot of persons would still say that, no, you're quiet, but you've answered. You said people have the right to aspire, yourself and others. Do you believe that in the PNP, that right is being taken from you? I'm not talking about those viewers now and comrades on the ground. From the PNP, do you believe that you're somehow being undermined by the leadership of any sort?
I see no basis to conclude that. I see no basis to conclude that. The leadership will make decisions, and the scholarship will either be happy or dissatisfied with those decisions. It is within the authority of the leadership to make those decisions. I am the spokesperson on education. I would have initiated a lawsuit on behalf of the people of Jamaica to challenge the constitutionality of our early childhood education. I would have indicated to the public the misuse of information and data. I would have been at the forefront of proposing solutions after the Hurricane Melissa. So that is a portfolio for which I was granted. And I continue to speak on the portfolio for which I was granted.
Okay, Mr. Crawford, for now, do you support the current leadership of the P? This is the last question. Do you support Mark Jefferson Golding?
Well, I hope you get the opportunity to interview the leader.
Oh, certainly. I reached out.
He would indicate my contribution. No less than 9 of the ideas that were exposed in the last budget debate were brainchilds of mine. Brainchildren, I guess, I don't know what the term is, which were shared with the leader. I've contributed on many occasions. Any observation of Parliament would see that I'm very willing to participate. While any leader remains the leader, they have my full support, as did Portia Simpson, as did Peter Phillips, and as did Mark Golding. The last opportunity to prove that was in the election, and I fought tooth and nail for him to become the Prime Minister of this country. So therefore, the assessment of yourself and the asking of the collective knowledge of the party to make decisions on who is best or whom are best to lead us forward. Nothing to do with support or lack of support, because it is not a negative emotion to a person. As long as he is the leader, he has my support. As long as Angela Bloomberg is the chairperson, she has my support. As long as Dayton Campbell is the general secretary, he has my support. And if for any reason there's a change in any one of those realities, they too have my support. Joan Gordon Webley would have run against me in his rural St. Anthony in 2011. Yet, I have campaigned with Joan Gordon Webley on 2 occasions when she ran for the PNP, because all members of the PNP have my support.
Mr. Crawford, you've said that the current leadership of the party, they have your support, but in terms of answering whether or not you will challenge the leadership of the PNP, you said you cannot say that right now. What would be, if you should decide to challenge the leadership of the PNP, I'm not sure if you're comfortable to reveal your tactic, but based on the history of a divided PNP, we've seen what leadership challenges do to the PNP, Mr. Crawford. And I think a lot of comrades are saying, why challenge the leadership even next year?
Well, again, that is one of the greatest joys of a democratic process. In fact, at this point, we have 28,000 delegates. We have about 400,000 supporters. And the democratic process calls for some to agree and to disagree and to decide where the majority falls. And so, therefore, I acknowledge the opinion of all members of the party, all delegates, and all comrades who support the party. I also acknowledge their anxiety. I know, as a matter of fact, that Portia Simpson was challenged in 2008 and won 42 seats, I think it's 2008 or 2009, won 42 seats in 2011. Andrew Holness was challenged, I think, in 2014 and won in 2016. So the anecdotal arguments about, it is a disaster has been proven only when Peter Bunting challenged on the verge of the election, and also the outcome might not have been possible to change. But the outcomes of 2 public challenges in Jamaica has shown that parties can recover from the democratic process. I believe if there is a challenge for anything, because it can't be reserved only to the leader. What if somebody wants to be a vice president? Is that also too divisive to have a vice president election? What if somebody wants to be a region chair? Is that too divisive to have a region chair election? What if somebody wants to be a replacing candidate? Is that too divisive to seek to be a candidate if a candidate currently exists? And what if somebody wants to be a chairman? Is that too divisive? So a political party who plies its trade in the democratic process cannot be of the opinion that democracy kills it, nor can a socialist party be of the opinion that socialism kills it. So you must be committed to the ideological pillars of the party, which is that all are able to have a say, all are able to hold a position, and we believe in the equal opportunity for all Jamaicans. Those 2 tenets must be at the forefront of the election, of the political party. So if there are some that are sensing anxiety, I can understand those anxieties. If there are some that are saying if there is any feeling of a need for change, that there should be conversations that may prevent a divisive election. If there are some who are saying that if we should have an election, it should not be on the negative of the other, but on the positive of the person you support. Those persons would have been disappointed with the anti-democratic faction who have decided to sully the name of any individual that they perceive to be in support of a democratic process. So I think that if we should have an election, the way in which it is run is going to have much greater impact than the election itself. And if persons determine that they are the pit bulls to stop the mongrels and the thing like that.
To stop the who? To stop the who?
The mongrels, it was said. But if persons like those believe that it is in their sole authority to decide on the direction of the party, it would have an issue. But I don't believe that. I would have exposed the virtues of Mark Golding on the platform, and I don't go on platforms to speak lies. I believe Mark Golding have great qualities, and those qualities must be considered as to how we move forward.
Yeah, we're gonna get to some other matters. Yes, yeah, no, I understand. I think I've been asking the questions, and persons are also having their own comments in the chat. The last question on this I'd like to ask, Mr. Crawford, if you recognize that your ambitions may cause a divided PNP, will you relinquish or step back from those ambitions for the greater good of the party? Or will you push on and say, it's my time now, time come for Crawford?
I am at a confused state as it relates to ambitions. If you should go back to 2013, I indicated an ambition to one day lead the party. Did I challenge in 2014? Did I offer myself in 2015? What would have stopped me from offering myself only on ambitions in 2024 or 2023? Instead, I contributed what I could contribute on behalf of the party. So I'm not going to be fueled by just a personal ambition. I would be fueled by the voice of the people, because what they say is law. And if the average delegate believes that there should be an offering, then that is likely to happen. If the average delegate believes that there should not be an offering, then that is unlikely to happen. So personal ambition can never be the basis of seeking to lead a political movement with over 400,000 supporters. So that is not the basis of my decision making.
Thank you, MP Crawford. So we would like to hear your views on. I'm not sure if you've taken the time out to look at some of these things in any depth, but I would be remiss of me not to ask you. One of the biggest conversations that are being had right now is the matter of a seemingly war against the Integrity Commission. We've heard about the TCN agreement, third country nationals. We've heard about a whole lot of other things. I'm not sure if you'd like to give us your take on the TCN. Did you get a chance to really?
Yes. I'm extremely concerned. First of all, I am not going to be fooled into calling it TCN. They're deportees, right? So therefore, a person who is ill, let us say that a person from Britain falls ill in Jamaica, and we airlift that person to Miami. That person in Miami will be a third country national, flown from one country, Jamaica, belonging to another country, Britain, and then is seeking healthcare services in Miami, United States. If it is that there was a bilateral agreement between Jamaica and the United States for healthcare services, which doesn't exist, by the way, but there are other agreements like between us and Cayman, for example. Those coverages to insurance, etc., would not have applied to the British person being a third country national. So therefore, what we're looking at are the persons being deported while they simultaneously are being deported from country A to country B, not being resident in country B. So I'm not going to be fooled into changing the term from a deportee. Now, in what I have heard, I am concerned on multiple fronts. The first hurdle of concern is that a country like Jamaica that has benefited so enormously from migration. In fact, we have long trumpeted that it is the remittances that has saved us in Melissa, saved us in COVID, and saved us in the burial. Remittances come from migration. So a country that has benefited so greatly from migration, some cases legal and in some cases illegal, we should never have been an accomplice into a mass deportation scheme. So Jamaica should never have signed up as an accomplice to a mass deportation scheme. Whether they're criminals or not is secondary to that participation in a mass deportation scheme. And a mass deportation scheme that is fueled in the opinions of many by racist ideology and racist opinion. A 90% black country should further not have been a accomplice, a partner in that scheme. The second conversation, therefore, if we are able to stomach crossing the hurdle of being a sellout, is who do we get? And the general conversation has proven to be lies from the government. Let us look at what has been said. It is said that they were seeking to attract 10,000 skilled workers. Now, attracting 10,000 skilled workers would either have to be attracting them as deportees, meaning going to the United States and say, if you find any skilled person in your deportee plan, send them to me, which must be human trafficking at least, because the rightful direction is to send them home. Or secondly, we were claiming that we're seeking to attract American skilled persons to come and work in Jamaica. The minimum wage in the United States is about 7 times the minimum wage in Jamaica. And America themselves have a skill shortage. So they have no oversupply of skills. Why would an American who is in demand for their skills leave America to come and work in Jamaica for 1/7 of his income? So I believe that natural logic could disqualify that as a probability that they were seeking Americans to come. So then the government, therefore, must have been seeking to traffic other humans away from their families if they have skill sets to come to Jamaica to accept minimum wages that could not have satisfied their desire to have left their country. I would presume these would include Mexicans, these would include people from the Philippines, etc., India, etc. And that is a unconscionable consideration. The person who would have concocted that plan to take people away from their families and away from the opportunity they sought to assist their families, but to divert them through a third country on the hope of recruiting skills, is an unconscionable person whose conscience has been seared. If we are able to pass that hurdle, we then go to what are the risks that we face as a local society. And they say they won't accept a person who's a criminal. You can only not accept a person assessed to be a criminal. But there are many people who don't have a charge and who don't have a case who are criminal in their intent and their history. In fact, other than our government, the United States has indicated that the ones they intend to send away are the ones that they believe are injurious to their society. If you go back to the criticism of Trump's plan of mass deportation, he would have indicated that those who are able to contribute, there would be systems for which they could save. And so therefore, who do we believe? Do we believe Rubio, who suggested that they are seeking to send the worst of the worst? Or do we believe our government, who has no basis of proving that a person isn't a criminal? Now, the last hurdle that I can't find how we cross is what calls for a refugee in this case, because that person would have been coming from his home, seeking an opportunity, in some cases asylum. What calls for those persons who come from the United States to be treated differently from those who come directly from Haiti? And what, therefore, is the treatment of this Haitian person who first runs away to the United States, gets deported to Jamaica on the third-party national whatever deportee system, who the minister have indicated that we can't lock them up, and also that they may choose to apply for status to live in Jamaica. What caused the Haitian who comes directly to Jamaica to be treated so differently from the Haitian who goes to America and then gets deported to Jamaica. Those are hurdles that I am finding incapable to cross with my conscience. And to that extent, I believe that the JLP has improperly positioned the Jamaican public with a characteristic of cowardice, but also a characteristic of being a passive, for want of a better term, a characteristic of being a sellout, a characteristic of being a opportunist willing to benefit from the suffering of others. And I don't believe that the Jamaica that has positioned ourselves as cool and loving and friendly wants to be repositioned as accomplice to mass deportation. And so I believe that a government willing to take that decision must feel that they're invincible, knowing that the public could not be in support of such a underhanded, yellow-bellied, snakish approach.
Mr. Crawford, the Integrity Commission, Ms. Beswick, the chairwoman of the Integrity Commission, the chair of the Integrity Commission, has made a lament that the Integrity Commission has been facing a lot of legal challenges, and that has significantly or has the probability of impacting the effectiveness of the IC. And we've seen in recent times Dr. Andrew Wheatley challenging the IC, the Prime Minister challenging the IC. It seems to be a trend. Now we've heard Mr. Bruce up by University Hospital challenging the IC. Do you believe that there is a deliberate attack from the government of Jamaica to undermine or to weaken the Integrity Commission? Comrade leader Mark Gordon actually made mention of weakening the institutions, and the Integrity Commission seems to be under attack. What do you say?
That particular one, I am less of an expert than Mark Gordon will be on that issue.
On that issue.
However, the law gives the opportunity to challenge to clear your name. And I would never take away the opportunity for a person to clear their name. So maybe it should be fast tracked. Maybe they need more persons now that we have seen this trend. But the current law allows for that reprieve. And to that extent, if I was ever to be in that situation, I would want to assess with that law. I pray that I'm never in that situation.
So you believe that because the opposition has called for Mr. Wheatley to step aside, do you believe that Dr. Wheatley should step aside at least until he clears his name?
I have not read the document. I've seen on the internet persons accuse me of not wanting ABRC. I have not read the document, and therefore I am incapable to seriously comment on the issue. However, the party has spoken and they have read the document.
Yes, the party did spoke. Another matter that is prevalent now is just the whole recovery process. The truth is, Mr. Crawford, a lot of Jamaicans have spoken about the slow pace response from the Prime Minister and his team. You know, we hear about NARA, but it seems as if NARA is still not yet off the ground. What are your thoughts on the recovery post-Hurricane Melissa?
It has been another proof and evidence of the government's failure. And the government have a way of making announcements, grand announcements, getting third-party individuals to collaborate. They have recruited private sector persons, they have recruited teachers, they have recruited 1 and 2 persons in different spaces, and then seek to suggest that those persons are authority. And the thing I've heard the Ministry of Education suggest that their recovery is being studied. I don't know by whom or for what reason, but it must be for what not to do. Because we still have in the parish of St. Elizabeth alone, over 400 persons that have not returned to school. They claim that, we were fast to open our schools, when quite a few schools are still on shift or on rotating days, going to school 2 days or going to school 3 days. That would mean that the average student is missing 40 to 60% of the days. They said that absenteeism is of its greatest moment of 10% and continues to increase as it moves along. So when the crisis hit, I spoke to the government and asked for the government to consider to utilize the school as a center of recovery for children, and that they would provide breakfast, lunch, and a dinner sandwich to children who attended school, provide medical aid, both psychological and otherwise, and basically use that as an encouragement for parents to return their children to school. It was indicated that they had no funding. I was therefore taken aback and much surprised when I heard the Auditor General's office indicate that they had $1.4 billion available to them that they had not spent.
Yes.
I think they had spent 2% or something like that, which likely would have been banking fees coming out of it. The Prime Minister then came to say that it was a strategic decision, and all strategies have an objective. What could be the objective of not assisting the people in need? What could be the objective of having $1,400 million and still having people sleeping under tarpaulin, or many people who are not getting food, or not increasing the breakfast program in school? What could have been the strategy? And so the question that I think is reasonable to ask is, if it was strategic, what was the objective that the strategy was seeking to achieve? And was that objective achieved by not spending the funds months into the hurricane? So I am concerned by that. The other reason I'm concerned is that I don't believe in the power of NARA to achieve what they assume it would achieve. And I use the SPARK program as the example. The SPARK program has been contracted since 2025. It's way behind. So it's not been waiting on procurement. It's not been waiting on any government decision process that NARA seeks to skip, because it was contracted and awarded to the China harbor from that period of time. It is at least 300 projects behind, because they indicated that we would have gotten 600 roads, and the latest conversation I've heard is that we received 300 roads. In my own constituency, not even one road is finished as yet. The latest I've heard is that they don't have any fire hydrants. So when we look at that reality, and also at the law that they sought to pass, much of it increases inefficiency. For example, if it is that you can cause for one project to skip the line for approval at the parish council, then it means that other projects must therefore be pushed back in the line. It means therefore that a person who's waiting for his house drawings or his apartment or his business drawings may have to wait because somebody have a hotel and the hotel skips the line. Now by law, there are some people that have to wait on some other approval before they make an approval. So you might have to wait on NEPA before you give a permission to build. If it is that you are saying you will skip or try to sequence them happening at the same time, then that is inefficiency, because I might say yes without the information that I need from NEPA. And when NEPA's information comes, I will have to reverse the yes and say no. They claim that at this point, if there's a disagreement, you can ask the minister, in this case the Prime Minister, to step in. And the Prime Minister will then hire his own experts that don't seem to reduce time and inefficiency. So I do not believe that the speed that they propose will happen with NARA is going to happen. And I believe further that the corruption is likely to increase. Well, it at least facilitates an increase in corrupt decision-making and the beneficial individuals of corrupt intent. I'm concerned
yes,
about that.
yes. You're concerned about. You've mentioned housing just now.
Yes.
We like to follow the parliament. One of the things that the opposition have been very concerned about is the drawdown from the National Housing Trust. We can recall a proposal that was made regarding the NHT and how we should be reserving funds from the NHT for matters regarding housing and community development.
Yeah.
What is your stance on things
that
of that?
Again, was one of the presentations that I made that would have disproved the accusation of being quiet. But the same people who want to accuse you of being quiet, they ridicule it to say all they do is talk. They have to decide what they want to achieve. However, we have to acknowledge that we are against the continued removal of funds from the NHT, because it was in the 2011 to 2016 period that the PMP initiated this removal to facilitate passing the IMF test and achieving the fiscal balances that have now been so applauded by many persons, and in some cases awarded to the JLP, despite the fact that Peter Phillips and Portia Simpson were the authors of that. And one of the chapters in that book was to remove available fiscal space, available income from the NHT to buttress the budget and therefore cover expenses without having to borrow further money. It was intended at the time that it would be until we were in a position to stop. And the JLP, in seeking to gain political opportunity, went as far as to go to the court. And Holness would have been captured on multiple occasions, saying that he disagreed. Since then, Jamaica's debt to GDP ratio has strengthened, but Holness, in his attempt to suggest that they are not introducing new taxes, has transformed the NHT's contributions effectively into a tax, because a trust holds their money on your behalf. A tax takes the money and spends as the government sees fit. In doing so, I made the observation in Parliament that they are effectively robbing the trust of doing more housing-centered activities. For example, I have long proposed a rent-to-own scheme. A rent-to-own scheme would be a system upon which houses are constructed and placed in a pool that persons can pay a rent for the first maybe 4 to 6 months, and eventually the rent transfer into a mortgage. 8% of the previously paid rent would then be given as a down payment. Why is this important to our society? It is important firstly because of the high level of informality. And most, if not all, mortgages need a salary slip. The purpose of the salary slip is a proof of payment, your capacity to pay, your earning ability. If it is that I pay you the 80,000 that my salary slip can prove I can pay, that person would have offered greater proof of capacity, having paid it for 6 months, than what 3 months salary slip could actually rectify. The bank therefore use ratios such as 50% of your total income can go to your mortgage to suggest that that gives them an indicator of your affordability. So the first reality is that hairdressers, selectors, taxmen often don't have proof of income that the rent-to-own system would be able to benefit. However, there are many who are caught in what I call the trap of rental. And the trap of rental comes when you're paying $200,000 to rent a place, and by extension never save the down payment that are necessary. The children of the poor often have expenses that are not borne by the children of the rich. A person making $300,000 having moved from Trelawney to Kingston to work in a bank. Their mother likely was a single mother and have diabetes and needs medicine. They also likely have 2 or 3 siblings who have not finished secondary or tertiary, and they must make a contribution. They often also is seeking to add a room or 2 on a house that initially was not sufficient for the numbers that were in it. They will likely have student loans, and they have their other natural expenses. Once you pay 200,000, 150,000, even 100,000 for rent, all those expenses that I've just highlighted kidnaps the rest of your salary and removes the probability that you'll be able to save a down payment. This rent-to-own scheme, therefore, would have benefited those individuals who would be able to go and apply for a space in the pool, and while they are renting for the 6 months, they would then immediately be transferred into a mortgage, as versus to pay for somebody else's asset over a very long period of time. So if I can just explain, one of the greatest atrocities for the elderly is that they don't end with a mortgage ending at the time of retirement. Persons like myself who own a home and is paying a mortgage, my mortgage ends at 55 when I'm expected to retire.
Yes.
It means that the cost of housing to me dramatically reduces when my income reduces, as I'm now living on a pension. The person who is paying a rent, their cost of housing don't decrease at the point of retirement. To that extent, they find that the income which is less in retirement can't cover the natural human expenses of dignity. And so more persons owning a mortgage is also a pension contributor to ourselves in our age of elderly, when we no longer have the earning capacity as we had before the age of 65. The other thing that I recommended was that the funds could also be utilized for willing your NHT benefits. My father died when I was 15, and he told me that the only thing he could leave me is advice. As I grew older, I recognized that as I became a father, that he must have felt depressed with the reality that he, on the verge of death, had nothing else to offer than suggestions of how to survive the jungle of poverty. But he worked all his life, had NHT, but could never have utilized it. If the funds are available within the NHT, we would be able to will the benefit to our children or even our grandchildren. And that would cause for us to own a home much more quickly than we are currently owning a home. The final proposal I made was that NHT, there's certain what I would call infrastructure or superstructure that facilitate housing, such as schools in proximity, especially primary schools. And therefore, as almost an accessory to our housing infrastructure, the NHT could be used as a development trust to improve roads and schools and clinics within the state. However, those things are improbable to be achieved if we are going to focus on removing $11 billion per year, $55 billion in 5 years, and $110 billion in 10 years. That's $110 million. That could transform our housing reality if we were so inclined.
Okay, Mr. Crawford, we are out of time, but we quickly, if you could in just a minute, you said something about PEP the other day and the results. Quickly, if you could make a recommendation or anything, or give us your take on where we are.
The recommendation is to be truthful.
So the government lied. The government lied.
They continue to lie. You can't compare an exam that only had multiple choice to an exam that had both multiple choice and long form written. You can't compare an exam that had 2 exams to a set of children that had 4 exams and then claim that it is evidence of improvement. And this is risky to the children, because if you are suggesting that the grades suggest we don't need the interventions anymore, then the children will be left behind. But it's also risky to the teachers, because if you're seeking to introduce pay, performance pay, and you're suggesting that the input was higher than the reality of the input, then that teacher is extremely at risk for the performance evaluation. And so the lie of the government and the unfortunate recruitment of principals, etc., to answer on their behalf. And I've not responded because a conversation with principals and government workers with a politician is in private, not in public. A conversation between government and opposition persons is in public because it's public interest. So until the minister answers, I'm not going to comment. However, I would say to our principals and teachers that they should not be recruited as activists within the political space, because if the principal really has something she wants to expose to the opposition, I remain quite available and willing to visit and have the conversation. But from a statistics standpoint, a different test, a different exam cannot be compared with a totally different exam. That's what we call apples to oranges.
Thank you, Mr. Damion Crawford. Thank you, viewers, for tuning in. Mr. Damion Crawford, he responded to some of the things that we've been hearing in the political grapevine. We asked some very direct questions. Mr. Crawford, and as we let you go, is there anything else you'd like to say regarding what we spoke about earlier? Any final words? We asked you straight up if you will be challenging Mark Golding. You said you're not sure.
No, I didn't say I'm not sure. I said that I would not speak to that 14 months out.
You will not speak to that, so we should expect something coming from you as it draws closer to the constitutional time for elections?
Well, by natural design, a person seeking a position would campaign before that time.
And you're not campaigning now?
No, I'm not campaigning now. I'm seeking to explain to the people that they made a mistake in 2025.
Who made a mistake, Mr. Crawford? I think you'd like to clarify. Who made a mistake last year?
Voted for the Jamaica Labour Party, despite a stronger manifesto, despite a stronger team, and in my opinion, despite a stronger leader. And I think that they made a mistake. I, however, remain convinced that any political party must seek to be at the height of efficiency by putting their best people forward for all positions. And therefore, we have to reassess to see who, what, and where for all the positions in the party. That's why our constitution allows it.
Mr. Crawford, I thank you for coming on, and we wish you all the best as you continue to speak on education and things that are very passionate. You're passionate about, and yeah, continue to do what you have to do, sir.
Thank you, my brother.
All right, blessings. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. My review, I believe I asked some very direct questions, and I should be very honest, I didn't get a lot of direct answers. As I've said before, yeah man, a lot of persons saying great interview. I mean, I wanted some direct answers. I didn't get a lot of direct answers. However, as I've said before, I will continue to support Mark Jefferson Golding, as you all know. I believe Mark Golding's integrity alone, it is unprecedented, and I think Mark Golding is definitely the person to continue on this job. Yeah, but I appreciate Damion Crawford coming to answer some very serious questions. Some very serious questions. Well, to be very honest, I didn't hear from Damion that he will not run next year. He said that he wouldn't want to say anything months before the constitutional time. So if I should take something away from this interview, Damion Crawford will definitely challenge leadership. I think he said it without saying it clearly. And we're all intelligent people. I think Damion Crawford is saying that he will run, but in doing so, he's not going to mash up the party. I think that's what Damion Crawford is saying, or was saying rather. Very interesting. Very interesting. I found that to be very interesting. I was hoping that Mr. Crawford would have taken a look at the IC report, because that is something that a lot of persons have been talking about, though. I'm out of time. I have a flight to catch, ladies and gentlemen. I told you that, guys, I'll be going to Barbados over the weekend. I have a gospel concert on the Saturday. I have to, guys, I don't even finish pack because I had to prepare for this interview. I'm going to have to pack. I'm going to have to drive into Kingston, stay there, and then leave in the morning. But I was hoping that we could have heard more from Damion Crawford regarding the Integrity Commission's report. But hey, we know that Damion Crawford, he is able to give his views on certain matters. We try to talk. We brought up the TCN, the NHD, education. We appreciate his response to that. And I'd like to say this too. We want to hear more from Damion Crawford regarding those matters. Yes, we would like to hear some stronger advocacy on those matters. Yeah, I am hoping to get an interview with some other persons. I spoke to Mark Golin today. I know his schedule is busy. We're hoping to get Mark Golin. We haven't had him since the first time we had Mark Golin. We want to have him. There's a lot of matters that I would like to hear Mark Golin on, especially when it comes to supporting the small businesses. We'd like to hear that. And one thing I can note, Damion Crawford, is either I was tired this evening, but a lot of persons are saying in the chat that, Damion Crawford it wasn't as vibrant as he was last year. I'm not sure what changed, but let's see. Time will tell. Time will tell. Time will reveal everything. So for now, as I've always said, let us continue to unite as much as possible. Let us continue to support the leader of the People's National Party. Yeah. I'm very, very strident on that. On that, we want to support. Yes, we want to support the PNP. There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to advocate for. I believe the PNP will do very well in the next general election. I don't see the PNP losing any seats. Yeah, I don't see the PNP losing any seats in the next general election. I'm not sure what you think, but from 28, I think we'll be getting more seats. Yeah. Thank you, though. Let us pray. Father, we give you thanks for your mercies. We give you thanks for your grace. Thank you for all that you've been doing. And certainly thank you for the opportunity for us to gather, though virtually, to talk about matters affecting our nation. Lord, we pray that you will certainly touch the people in the West. A lot of people are suffering. It's not hearsays, it's not propaganda. Persons are still on a tarpaulin, zincs, in cars. We don't even know what is happening. There's no leadership in our nation. And Lord, we pray that you will intervene. And we pray that, Lord, you'll raise up some very firm Jamaicans who will be willing to call out the lack of leadership and the unwillingness to meet the people where they are. Jamaica is in trouble. Jamaica is in trouble. Jamaica is in trouble. But Lord, we're looking to you, as we know that the national anthem is a prayer to you, and we ask that you will continue to lead us with your mighty hand. Keep us free from evil powers. Lord, touch the viewers. Thank you for those who supported the super chat. I pray that you'll return unto them 100-fold. May they never lack, as we look to you and tell you thanks. In Jesus' name. Amen. Amen and amen. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for supporting. Thank you so much for the conversation. Pray for me. Going back to Barbie. I would love to meet Mia Motley. I tried to meet her the last time I was there. She was busy. Let's see what happens over the weekend. If I get to meet her, I have a few persons working on it. Then you will see pictures and a video. Try to get an interview with her. I would love to meet Mia Motley. Alright? I'm supposed to meet some comrades in Barbados. It's whole heap of comrades there in Barbados, you know. Lord! I never know so much comrades in Barbados. When they saw the gospel concert being promoted, the amount of people who support PNP who live in Barbados. So I'm expected to meet a whole lot of comrades there. Blessings to you all. Bye-bye. Next time, I'll pop in and out over the weekend, alright? Bye-bye.
Perspective family. Big up yourself every time, Perry the General. Go and do it, comrade. The word is love. Where we are go do? Police them a kill off, use the tree on the roads. Where we are go do? The price gone up on the JLP let loose. Where we are go do? Times hard and politicians don't have a clue. Where we are go do? Where we are go do? Aye, time for trust and keep the faith to help us win this race. Poor people now no food, all them see a empty plate. And the rich them getting richer, them fi burn up in the lake. Promises they make, but enough of them are fake. But black love divide, put politics aside. A time for we unite, a time for do the right. We have to start by speaking truth and not the lie. Perry set the trend, we have to all unite. Pressure it a boil, farmers them a tile. And all our work them no see nothing at all. We can't segregate, we can't separate. Put aside the war, time for love not hate. Pressure it a boil, farmers them a tile. And all our work them no see nothing at all. We can't segregate, we can't separate. Put aside the war, time for love not hate. Hey. Oh. Wait, wait.